No, I was the last one out of the plane.
I needed to read something.
Being second in command in the plane. Matthews was our lieutenant. I didn't even know him. He came on board at the last minute. He was the jump master. But by the time I got out, we were miles to the east of St. Mary Lease, I'm sure. I have no idea where I came down. It was just farm country, all little hedgerows. I picked up Shifty Powers, Bill Keane, and Rod Stroll within about 15 minutes, middle of the night, of course. And we tried to figure out where we were. There were no roads around, there were no houses, just farmland. So we thought we may as well head where we thought the beaches would be, to the east, and eventually meet up with somebody. And it was actually about 5 days before we caught up with the company, just as they were getting ready for the attack on Carentan, organizing for it. Along the way, the only action we saw, we came across a second lieutenant from the 502, and he had about 6 or 8 men with him. And they had set up a roadblock on one of these little country roads that we came across. And we weren't with them more than 15 minutes. Then a truckload of Germans came down the road, around the bend, and they had the foresight, he had the foresight to set up his bazooka man. And sure enough, he hit that truck head on, and we had Germans scattered all over the place. Most of them dead or severely wounded. The only other excitement we had during that time, and it wasn't really excitement, but we came across a glider that had made a hard landing in one of these little hedgerow fields, and it was a Jeep and 81 mortar millimeter group. The Jeep had torn loose on landing and rolled forward and caught the nose of the glider and turned it up on its back bumper. It was just sitting there. Nobody around. Looking back on it, it wasn't a very smart move, but we decided, well, maybe we could use the Jeep. All we had to do was use one of our plastic explosives and cut the pipe that was holding it up. The Jeep would drop down and we'd have good transportation. It just didn't work. The reason, because the gasoline had leaked out of the Jeep and was all over the ground, so one Jeep went belly up. We met the 4th Infantry coming ashore. I guess it must have been on the 3rd day, I'm not sure of that. And it was a great sight to see them rolling up this little road. Behind them, trucks and Jeeps and tanks. So we figured we had the war won at that point. It really looked good. When we finally caught up with the company, and I really don't know, I've thought about this many times, how we actually found them. Because you don't ask directions, there's nobody that knows. But we came across them, and Dick Winters, of course, was acting company commander, and he said, "Where have you been, Taylor?" He said, "I thought you'd be here sooner than this." But we weren't the last ones to come in. There were several other groups that came wandering in. And then we organized for the attack on Carentan. That's about it, I guess.